So if you have about 25 lakh rupees lying around and you want to make the ultimate style statement, well, this is pretty much as good as it gets, doesn't it? Yes, this is the 2021 version of the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross. It's now BS6 emission norm compliant, and also it's quite a lot more expensive car. But then again, it looks great, doesn't it? So if you are still planning to figure out whether this is the right car to buy in today's day and age where there are so many SUV options to choose from, well, you've come to the right place. Let's find out the answer to that, shall we? Now let's start off with the design of the car, and yes, I was looking for an excuse to sit here because look at this. This is really cool, isn't it? Now this is what makes the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, and honestly, this is the differentiating factor, and this is the only car that you can do it in. So it really doesn't matter if it's good or bad or what you feel about it. This is what makes the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross what it is. Cool for those who find it cool, useful for those who find it useful. But other than that, in terms of pure changes for the 2021 model, well, it's the same.
And that's not entirely a bad thing, because the car still, at least in my books, looks great, especially in the top spec Z Prestige variant which we were driving. It has a healthy dash of chrome, and things like the LED projector headlamps and the side step complete the look.
Now coming to the cabin of the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross, well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. First and foremost is the way you sit in the car, and it gives you that king of the road feeling. If that is what you're looking for, you'll get that a lot in this cabin. You're seated really high up. The driver's side seat is electronically adjustable. You have fantastic visibility, and the ergonomics are good as well. So it's a good place to sit in. Now in terms of the build quality is good, but the quality of materials used, well, you might want a little bit more from the cabin. Also, the biggest gripe, this latch, it just doesn't, oh, it opened, but if I close it and then try again, this has always been there even in older models. Isuzu really needs to fix that. But other than that, the cabin scores high in terms of practicality. There's a lot of compartment spaces inside the cabin. You even have a split glove box set up here. You even have these really nice cup holders placed below the AC vents. So it's a good place to be in. However, it's the design that has started to feel a little bit old. For example, the infotainment system, it's a touchscreen unit, but this is decent back in 2015. Today in 2021, this is not acceptable in a car that costs this much. Also, no completely digital instrument cluster or anything of that sort. It's a very basic cabin, and that is something you need to keep in mind.
Thankfully, it does come with features like cruise control and steering mounted audio controls. And the top spec model also gets a rear parking camera, which is extremely helpful for a car this size.
Now here at the back, again, you have a lot of space over here, and the seat is quite comfortable as well. The only thing that you need to note is that you sit a little bit upright because of the loading bay at the back. But overall, it's a comfortable place to be in. Again, it's very simple. There's not a lot going on. You have a couple of cup holders over here. You also have a USB port. You have a drop-down armrest. And the good part is at least you have adjustable headrests. It's a simple and convenient place to be in.
Lastly, coming to the loading bay, as per Isuzu, the deck's loading capacity is 180 kilos, and loading bay's hard cover that you see here on our test car, well, that is an accessory, so keep that in mind.
Now, given how characterful the car looks from the outside, the engine, well, it's not that characterful to be honest. But this is still an Isuzu engine at the end of the day, which means it is going to be extremely reliable in long-term usage. Yes, this may not make the car really fast or something, but it gets the job done.
It is powered by a turbocharged 4-cylinder 1.9-litre engine that makes 163 horsepower and 360 Newton meters of torque. We tested the variant which gets the 6-speed automatic gearbox, and as mentioned, the entire driving experience isn't exactly fast. The Isuzu loves being driven with a light foot, and while it can haul itself quickly, the engine does get loud inside the cabin at high revs. Thankfully, you can cruise around at low RPM with ease, and at that point the engine noise isn't that high. The car also gets a shift-on-the-fly 4-wheel drive system which will be extremely helpful for your off-road expeditions. Speaking of which, the Isuzu eats up bad patches of roads without breaking a sweat and has good stability even at highway speeds. However, the leaf spring rear suspension really makes the car feel bouncy if it is just the driver driving it. With a high load, it should be better.
So now it's time to sum up the car, and it's actually very difficult to do that. You see, the Isuzu D-Max V-Cross is a very simple car, and if you want something that's simple and gets the job done, this actually does that well. But you might be wanting left for more given the slew of new SUVs that are coming, which are packed to the brim with features, so it's difficult in that regard. Also, it's difficult to recommend, but it's so easy to fall in love with. And also, it's beyond my understanding why this car is so expensive in India right now and why the new model hasn't come in here yet. But then again, given that this is the only good pickup truck for lifestyle purposes that you can buy with a private number plate, I mean, that's all we get, right? So at the end of the day, I don't know how to sum up this car, but then again, you don't really need me to sum it up, because if you want this car at this point, you already know if you're going for it or not.